All right, MMA Maniacs, here we go. It is time once again for another installment of Split Decision, your weekly MMA podcast brought to you out of the Ruloff Family Inc. studios. Of course, Bueller and Dodge, the mics, giving you all the UFC and MMA news, as well as recapping your most recent fights and looking forward to the upcoming events as well. And we got a big thanks to Fight Fans Radio Network, of course, for hooking us up and promoting us. They have us on Spreaker, Stitcher, SoundCloud, as well as their iTunes account. We have our own account as well on Stitcher and SoundCloud, I believe. Yeah, I'm just making stuff up at this point.
Spreaker and SoundCloud.
And also our website, which you can go to anytime, SplitDecisionMMA.com. With that all out of the way, let's get underway. Dodge, what is happening?
We got a lot of things going on in there. Sahir Behezara has signed a new 4-fight deal with the UFC. So despite losing his last fight, he still is, actually his last 2 fights, he is still going to have a contract with the UFC and moving forward.
It's surprising to see. I don't understand how the mindset works behind the scenes with who they cut and who they keep when a guy can have two losses in a row and get a 4-fight contract, and somebody else can have 3 wins in a row and then 1 loss and is out the door.
I think it's on how you fight, too.
Like
I mean, they've talked about that before. Like, if you are constantly pushing the fight, if you're constantly going for the knockout, you're constantly trying to finish fights. If you're just a guy who wins 3 decisions and then loses a decision, you're gone.
That also makes sense too, because if you can make a name for yourself by coming out and being a gunslinger, like in the days of Pride and stuff like that, you'll put asses in the seats regardless of if you're winning or losing all the time. I mean, granted, not a lot of people are going to care about a guy who's 1-7 if he comes out and is got a gunslinger, but at the same time, the days of Pride, when they used to compare Pride to UFC, you were looking at these guys' records, and it just mentally didn't make sense.
Right.
It's like there's guys in the UFC, these guys are champions, and these guys in Pride have even records, yet people are still coming to see them. It's because of the way they fight.
I think, like the chatter, because I think that they're using data from the internet. Mm-hmm. They're proving a lot of companies. You can't even Facebook anymore. If you put anybody's name, I think I put Joe Pesci in something. And at the top of my post on everybody else's page, it says Joe Pesci trending, and then my message.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm advertising for Joe Pesci.
Yep. You are now sponsoring Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
Good for him. What is he doing lately?
He needs the support.
His shiny shoes.
Bellator CEO Bjorn Rebney. He has come out. They did an interview with Sherdog where they were talking to him about if he was sick about people asking him about the World Series of Fighting pay-per-view challenge, where he basically put up guys against World Series fighting against guys from Bellator for a winner-take-all pay-per-view battle royale, if you will.
Right.
And he basically says he hasn't even talked about it. He's too focused on his upcoming season for his next show. He's having to put a legitimate 18 or 19 hours a day in on just the next season.
He's such a liar.
So he can't worry or work about this new thing. He's got 100% focus on this new season. He doesn't even know who the matchmaker over World Series of Fighting is. He doesn't know him. He's never met him. He didn't even know his name until people started asking him if he wanted to take this challenge.
How can we find out about the total loss of last year?
For Bellator?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You can't put 18 to 19 hours into your company and make it fail.
Well,
That's 18 to 19 hours of just bad decisions.
He sold it to Viacom, so with a $40 billion deal, I don't think he's failing anything.
No, he's still
Well, I mean, you have to look at it like the brother said. They lost money.
Yeah.
Legitimately. 10 years? 15?
Yep. At least 10
or 15 years. And to us, we thought that was rolling.
Yeah, we thought they had a pay-per-view again.
Yeah, we're like, they're in Bellator.
Tito's name's on a giant thing. There's flames coming up out of the floor. Like, this is amazing.
And we haven't felt this way about Bellator at all.
Yeah,
we've never thought it was a positive thing.
No, but
I always felt like they came out of like a warehouse, like it was a bad ECW arena. Like I
actually think more people would watch that.
I would. I don't think that Bellator has a good game plan. I think the idea behind it, having a season and having the build up to the championship, that idea is great. The execution's been terrible.
And their matchmaking is horrible too. It's super lopsided.
Yeah, exactly.
Super lopsided.
And it has a lot to do with the talent that they're pulling as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I think that he's putting 18 to 19 hours into shit in a box is pretty ridiculous.
Beck Hyatt has decided to change her name, going back to Beck Rawlings, her maiden name. She's been broken up with her husband for quite some time. So she is going to be changing her name, and she changed it just before she started The Ultimate Fighter, so that nobody will be confused that after The Ultimate Fighter, like, who's Beck Rawlings? Well, I saw Beck Hyatt on the show. But she is going to keep the nickname Rowdy. She doesn't care if there's already another one. She's had the name for quite a long time, and so, yeah, get ready for
Does she get a new
Rowdy
record?
Beck Rawlings.
When she changes her name, she get a new record?
No.
Back at 0-0?
Doesn't completely reset. Which, means she's single, and she's pretty good looking, in my opinion.
It resets everything.
Michael Bisping and Tim Kennedy might be fighting April 16th, and I say might because it all comes down to basically an eye exam for Michael Bisping. He has to. His doctor has cleared him. The UFC doctor has cleared him, but he still has to go do an eye exam to make sure everything's 100% okay, checking out his peripherals, checking out his depth perception.
You think he'll hit him in the eye with that knee thumper thing?
Oh, I definitely would.
Did you say depth perception? Is that a shot at Mark Hamill?
Depth perception.
It also depends on if Bisping gets injured again before the fight, which is pretty common for him. So I want to see it. I mean, it's America. This is like the American Revolution all over again.
Would you like to see Bisping against Kennedy, or would you like to see him against Luke Rockhold? Or both?
At the same time.
Tag team?
Back again.
2-on-1?
No, it'd be like red belt.
Oh, yeah.
Pick a marble.
You got to pick the marble.
Yeah, exactly.
And anymore, April 16th, I mean, that's forever in MMA lately.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
A lot can happen.
they're going to fight. They're not going to fight. They are going to fight. He is not going to fight, but he will fight.
Yeah.
Tim Kennedy's going to get called away to war. Bisping's going to slip on a banana. So we got Joe Riggs making some noise, huh?
Yeah, he had an interview with Ariel Helwani, and he said that he basically would like to fight Nick Diaz again. He'd actually like to box him because he says he thinks he has good hands. As far as he's talking about Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz thinks he has good hands, so that's where he'd like to take the fight. And why? Because, quote, Nick Diaz is a fucking mongoloid.
Just mean. Them's fighting words, man.
He wanted to use a word that, like, he was like, "What'd you call me? Mongoloid." And like Nick's like, "Is that like my mountain bike?"
I ride a mongoloid. I'm talking about, man.
Oh, man.
I'm just saying, you call me a mongoloid. I got to look that word up.
And you missed it last week. We finally found out what Albert's
Pet peeve.
Oh, man. He hates Ariel Helwani.
Just hates Ariel Helwani.
Really?
Oh, with
absolutely hates
passion.
Wow.
It was horrible.
Like the little Korean fire underneath him, huh? I want to see. Well, where's Riggs fighting right now? Is he still doing the
Bellator.
He is fighting in Bellator.
Still has a contract. I mean, he won Fight Master.
That's what I was going to say. I
Well, doesn't that mean they release him then?
Season 1,
that means
Into
they
the
kick-
Wild.
I thought, yeah, if you become champion,
Wait, he's good. Get rid of him.
Yeah.
You can't have good fighters in Bellator.
makes everybody else think they can't make it.
Yeah, then they can do it in Bellator because Nick's no longer fighting for the UFC, but he's still under contract, so it'll never happen.
So Nick Newell will get the title shot at World Series of Bellator champion Justin. I can now pronounce his last name.
Ganthe? Sure.
Yeah.
We can make stuff up.
So yeah, they just beat Richard Petchnok for the inaugural lightweight champion. They immediately booked the next fight will be against Nick Newell. Now Nick Newell is the fighter that does have an amputated arm, who
Bellator?
has been doing well in World Series of Fighting.
World Series
He
of
left
Fighting.
it over for a joke, and neither one of us wanted to touch
Just
it.
nobody wants
Swing and a miss. Oh, wait.
And I meant this nub. I don't want to touch
with
the nub.
either
Look,
hand.
man,
Apparently,
I understand anything you can do, I can do better. But really,
he's been winning.
Telling you,
Because
it's like an anglerfish, bro. He hangs it out there.
that's the thing. Is that people are like, I don't know what to do to a one-armed man. If I win, then I just beat up a guy with one arm. If I lose, I got beat by a guy with one arm. I mean, it's like the chick fight that was supposed to happen in Brazil. What does that do for you? If a guy fights a chick, if she beats you, you get kicked out of Brazil. And if you beat her,
You
probably
get kicked
kill
out of
you.
Brazil.
Yeah.
So how many people have lost to a one-armed man?
It wasn't me.
I'd have to look at his
Harrison Ford. Tommy Lee Jones.
So, speaking of World Series of Fighting, Jessica Aguilar is now the league's first women's strawweight title holder. She says that it doesn't matter who's in the UFC, who wins the tournament over in the Ultimate Fighter, she has considered herself the number one strawweight in the world. And that they will have to come to her to become the number one woman in the world.
Is that because she's not going to go to the UFC?
She's signed with World Series of Fighting and she's happy.
Yeah, well, you're not number one unless you're number one in the UFC.
But that happens a lot.
She says she beat the best in the world because the girl that she beat, Alita Gray, was undefeated at the time. So she says, I beat the best in the world. She can have the number 2 spot. She can have her own UFC belt, go wherever she wants. I don't even think she's going to get it. Just going on basically saying that it doesn't matter where you go. Even the former Invicta strawweight champion who is going to be in the UFC
you go
at the Ultimate
to
Fighter,
the main
she will not be the number one. I am the number one.
There's not some CFL Canadian football player like quarterback who's throwing around going, oh yeah, I'm the number one in the world because I threw better than what's his name in college. But I don't want to go to the NFL because I'm happy in Canada.
Everybody but Flutie.
You don't bench Doug Flutie.
You don't bench Doug Flutie.
No one's allowed to talk about Doug Flutie.
You just don't bench Doug Flutie.
Don't put Doug Flutie in the corner. Nobody puts Doug Flutie in the corner.
Chris Leben is retired from MMA.
Yep, he made his announcement on Ara Hawani's show that he is 100% now going to retire. He's going to be helping out, doing his coaching and doing his things, but he's going to retire from the sport.
You know what?
I think we called this last time we talked about it that he should and definitely. Yeah, I think
we even posted basically his personal letter to his fans and everybody.
You think that is there any reason? And I'm not saying now. But is there any reason, looking back on Chris Leben's career, to put him in the Hall of Fame 10 years down the road? Considering he was in the first season of The Ultimate Fighter, he kind of helped make that show with his drama.
Yep.
And The Ultimate Fighter, in turn, helped turn around the UFC.
He had a decent record, and I gotta believe, had the shortest turnaround for anybody ever to take 2 fights. He literally had a 1 week where he took back-to-back fights. Remember, he beat Akiyama?
Oh, yeah.
And he let Anderson Silva show the world how badass Anderson Silva was by beating the crap out of Chris Leben.
True.
Have you ever been to any of the Hall of Fames? Baseball, football?
Well, the World Series, or the UFC doesn't have an actual Hall of Fame you can go visit. I've been to the Basketball Hall of Fame, and I've been to the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Okay, so then they have people who's actually got the awards. They are actually in the Hall of Fame. But also on the sides and in part of the story are the people who help make the history.
The honorable mentions.
I would say, to me, that's where he's at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've been to the Little League museum, or whatever you call it. Little League Hall of Fame. I got kicked out for wearing a trench coat. Apparently, it's not allowed kids, but it's fine.
I was like, where is that even?
You were the reason a rule was made.
A real rule was made. Do not let grown men in trench coats come into the Little League Hall of Fame.
So Dan Henderson said he had to swallow his pride and take the pay cut and to get his UFC contract renewed. He was looking at Bellator. He said they're spending more money than they're bringing in. I'm not sure about World Series of Fighting. I think they're doing things a little more economically. However, there's no one that's able to pay what the UFC is paying their top guys.
I thought he would be somebody that they would take care of. I'm confused by all this. I thought he would be.
Well, taking a pay cut to renew his contract, I mean, that happens if you're not...
But at the same time, obviously, like he's saying, Bellator and World Series of Fighting weren't offering him what he considers good enough money to not even just take a pay cut for the UFC.
Exactly.
UFC's pay cut is probably paying him more than they were willing to pay him.
Saying he swallowed his pride, pun intended, because he fought for pride. He's aging. How's his performance been lately? Is he really a draw for pay-per-view buys and putting asses in the seats? All those things come under investigation when you go to renew your contract, and if you're just not holding up your end of the bargain, then you got to look at getting a pay cut.
But I do like this, that immediately he has been booked to rematch Shogun in Brazil. At the end of that, yay! I mean, they had one of the greatest fights of all time. UFC 139.
So do it in Brazil.
They are doing it in Brazil.
Give it to him.
The last time it was in San Jose.
So they re-signed him with a price cut. Yep. And then they immediately signed him to a headlining fight in Brazil and one of their biggest money-making areas. That is kind of a dick move.
for a rematch, that's I mean hands down one of the. I mean, if that match originally would have went 5 rounds, who knows what would have happened? Or or after the 5 rounds. I mean, it's just crazy. It looked like if Henderson definitely won the first half of the fight, and then Shogun was coming back and winning the second half.
Yeah, it was one of the. You're right, one of the best fights.
And this fight's gonna might be on Sunday instead of Saturday because Fox has another sport that's gonna bring in more money. So they don't know exactly what day yet.
Not true. We don't know. Maybe. We don't know. So going back to Bellator, Rampage Jackson and King Mo will be entering the light heavyweight tournament starting in February. So these guys aren't just top tier, what they consider their top tier guys anymore that don't have to worry about the tournament and fight whenever they want. They are now having to be put into the tournament.
To prove their worth.
Every year. NASCAR. I'm telling you.
And they will be on the opposite sides of the bracket. So we're not going to see them actually right off the bat fight. But
So they're hoping for the Hollywood ending.
They're hoping for the Hollywood ending, much like they did with Chuck Liddell fighting Rampage in the early Pride days, and then Chuck Liddell got knocked out by Alistair Overeem. Mm-hmm. Or excuse me, they wanted Vanderlei and Chuck Liddell to fight, and Chuck Liddell got knocked out by Rampage. After he knocked out
did not
Alistair.
see that coming.
Yeah.
The Alistair knockout where he just shut him down.
He knocked out Alistair, and then everyone's like, "Oh man, he knocked out Alistair Overeem," and then Rampage came in and destroyed Chuck Liddell.
you look at Alistair Overeem back then and how he looks now, and they don't even look like the same people. It's insane to me. It's like an alien swapped out the Alistair Overeems.
I have a quick story about Overeem. We'll get to right after this. We have Edson Barbosa has called out Diaz, Cerrone, and Miller. He'd like to fight any of the guys. He says, "I'm ranked number 11. All those guys are above me in the top 10. I want a chance of getting the belt." How do you feel Edson Barbosa would do against Nate Diaz?
Anytime anybody fights Nate Diaz, I don't even know which way to go. I mean, his stand-up has obviously improved so much, but the guy thinks he can win fights off his back, which he can't always do. So if someone
Barbosa, I think, would be willing to stand with him and throw kicks.
Yeah, and kicks can be a weakness for Nick too. I think any of those matches would be a really good matchup for him, really. And it's obviously
Cerrone, you think Cerrone's kickboxing would be able to hold up against Barbosa's?
That I'd like to see that as a match, especially considering Cerrone's broke and needs some money anyway.
And what about Cole Miller?
I think that would be the most interesting fight.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the idea of the kicks.
Yeah.
A lot of kicks.
Yeah. It's not that I don't like watching Diaz fight, but just sometimes when they start with their hand grabbing,
the pawing.
Yeah.
The pawn, yeah. Alistair Overeem, moving back to him, he has left the Black Azilians, and now he's going to go go train in Thailand.
Nice. We're at Fairtex?
They have not just said in Thailand. And you
can
see
winner.
picture of him here, obviously in hard training mode, looking a little lean.
So is he now with the Yellow Zillions?
He's probably bigger than everybody in that entire country.
That's what remember
there
Kevin. That's what Kevin said.
Exactly. What's that?
He's going to be training at Phuket's Tiger and Mexican.
Oh, okay. What? Okay, that's weird.
Chicken wing and smorgasbord.
You have Fairtex out there,
right?
And you also have Mike Swicks, aka
Jim,
that's opening next
with Roger Huerta, right? Like they're on Thailand vacation. That needs to be a movie. Mike Swick and Roger Huerta's
Thailand vacation.
Thailand vacation, I guess.
They do every stupid thing you can do in Thailand. That's why they don't want to come back to the States.
So, do a Mike and Roger go to Thailand.
I don't mean that.
/ White Castle.
I saw that look. I'm talking about driving motorcycles inside a steel cage and stuff like that.
Anderson Silva says that
not underage midget hookers. I did not say that.
We got Vegas for that.
He would like to fight Roy Jones Jr. before coming back to MMA. So after the end of this month, when his foot's healed again,
that's good.
He's
he
walking.
Should definitely do a fight where he doesn't have to kick. I think that's a perfect idea. Absolutely, fight Roy Jones Jr. where you don't have to worry about kicking and check kicks. 100%.
It'll help him heal, right?
Yeah.
Get him back in the fight
game. It's good therapy.
Yeah. It'll at least let him get some confidence in his hands. That first time he goes to throw that kick again, it's going to be bad.
Another injured fighter in the news, Anthony Pettis, has said that he wants to come back in July. He will be ready in July.
You sure? 6 months.
The doctor said probably not. I know I saw on UFC Tonight recently that there is no way that guy. I mean, that's extremely, extremely hopeful that he should be ready by July.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
That's
that bad.
Yeah, he's actually. It's at the back of the knee instead of the front of the knee. It's a much harder place for them to go and do surgery and take apart and reconstruct.
Some of these guys need to think about this. Coming back too soon, just
not good.
It's not good.
I'm just surprised 6 months. I mean, you look at someone like Anderson Silva, you don't expect 6 months, but I guess you don't really see the inner workings of somebody needs to go
of
in
a
there.
Knee.
Yeah. Somebody needs to go in there with a soldering iron and put it all back together. It's fine.
Nevada State Athletic Commission has said that Belfort trying to be granted for testosterone replacement therapy will be an issue because he still has that test where he failed for PED abuse. No 100% word on whether or not, but there's a lot of things. That
was he using TRT? But is that what he failed with, or was it
something else? Before he got busted for steroids in Nevada when he was in Pride.
Okay,
he got busted for actual steroids. He has not used them since. He says he needs TRT. That he has replacement treatment. He gets it for therapeutic use. That his doctors all sign off on it. He's all in his levels. He's never gone over all this kind of thing. He has, although had 3 head kick knockouts since he's been taking TRT, all in Brazil, and put his career back on the right path. But he says that's just because he's been training harder.
Yeah, I need to find a way to get TRT. I'm just saying. It makes him that much more of a beast. I need to try it just so I can wake up in the morning.
So they said they have no problem giving him a license. The problem is going to be with the TRT exemption.
So, but as long as he doesn't test outside of his levels, then he can't really get busted for it.
Yes, but he can't test outside of his levels on TRT. So, like, he has to be under somebody that's not taking TRT levels.
Right.
If he even if he pops at where his normal levels would be with TRT, he's going to fail. He's going to fail the original test.
So the levels on TRT, they're typically higher anyway?
They're definitely higher, yeah.
Okay.
Because obviously you're taking testosterone.
Yeah, but your levels could be higher just on the increase in basic amino acids.
Right.
So, because see, that's what this is my confusion in all this is some TRT therapy is nothing more than just like a dietitian type of thing.
Yeah.
So,
well, most of these guys that are taking TRT that have been in athletics are now it's basically a shot. It's
right. It's
testosterone.
See, and that's the problem. It's probably an anabolic.
It's
anabolic type of steroid.
It's
not
synthetic.
a steroid.
Yeah.
It's almost like a HGH.
Right.
Who is? God, I can't believe I can't remember his name. Who was that little beast wrestler that was in the UFC for a while that BJ Penn destroyed with a knee?
Sean Shirk.
Yeah.
When his levels tested outside of normal levels, they pretty much admitted back then. I'm sure things have changed since then, but they pretty much admitted back then. They're like, we don't really know where levels are supposed to be.
No, Shirk, you knew.
We just kind of think. No, the people were like, we
he had veins on top of his veins in his neck.
But they were like, we think a normal level is like a 12, and Shirk was a 43. But the whole defense for Shirk was like, yes, but you don't have an actual scientific baseline for where levels are supposed to be.
Right.
There's a huge fight about this on Google Plus, and someone's like, why don't you be a real man, and why do you have to use it? And then everybody just kept saying, you don't have to take pills, you don't have to do anything. You could get your elevated testosterone level through diet.
Yeah. Is that when you have Rocky Mountain oysters?
Yeah, well,
yeah, definitely goes
horse.
Up.
You eat horse.
Alistair Overeem swears by it.
Rampage Jackson recently came out to MMA Junkie and said the reason why he was in that crazy 2008 car chase was to save his suicidal friend. His friend was going to commit suicide. He didn't even worry about anything else that was going on. He was just trying to get to his friend. He saved a life that day, and he still is not ready to completely talk about it.
Took him this long to come up with this story. That's terrible. 2008, he was running, damn near running people over.
He did. He hit people.
What happened was.
What happened
People are going to keep asking about this, man. Can you give me some kind of cover story? That's the thing. Like, what if he would have killed somebody on his way to save his friend? Is that like even exchange?
He had a monster truck, and he monster trucked it.
Yeah. Rampage went on a rampage. It's flat out what it was.
Own it. You know what I mean? Own it.
It was a picture of himself on the side of the truck, and it said Rampage in like 4 foot by 8 feet letters.
I think it's one of those things where it's like, it's
that is not a lie. Look it up.
If you get a big lifted pickup truck and you put Rampage on the side of it, if you walk, it's like psychosomatic response. If you walk out every morning and you see Rampage on a big ass truck, in your head it's like, one of these days I have to go on a rampage.
Have you had a friend with a lifted truck? You get in it and you see what kind of shit you can run over. Stupid shit.
Hey, see if we can get out of that big ass hole over there.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Ross Pearson is having to withdraw from his March 8th bout against Melvin Guillard due to a knee injury, but instead Michael Johnson will step in for the co-main event in London.
Well, good for Michael Johnson. I like Ross Pearson in that fight.
I thought that was a better fight. Now Michael Johnson, do you think he's going to out-wrestle Melvin Guillard? Melvin Guillard is usually a pretty big guy.
Yeah. He just has to go for a guillotine or a rear naked choke and he'll win.
Yeah, see, they need to start doing it now. UFC 170, you could see.
Hey, it always says card subject to change at the bottom, sir. Always says.
You could see.
Card subject to change.
Melvin Guillard versus anybody possibly in this weight class.
Now, Dana White is saying that Chris Weidman will be the pound-for-pound champ if he beats Vitor Belfort. Remember, we talked last week, and I think the week before, he was saying that Renan Barão would be the pound-for-pound champion.
Apparently, he likes to say pound for pound.
If he beats Uriah Faber.
Just rolls off the tongue.
So out of anybody there, you have all the champions listed there. Who would be a pound-for-pound champion in your mind?
All right. Cain Velasquez has one loss against Junior Dos Santos, and he avenged it. I don't. John Jones, his one loss is an asterisk. So I mean, it's kind of. I wouldn't say the winner of Johnny Hendricks and Robbie Lawler because they're stepping to fill a vacant title.
I would think Jose Aldo.
I was just running down the list. So
16. He's 16 fight streak right now. He also has fought guys from other weight classes. He defeated Frankie Edgar. You know what I mean? Who came down his weight class. Right. I think. Would
you not give it to Hendo Barral because he hasn't really fought enough names yet?
He's fought some of the top in his division too.
What about the broad? We're talking 7 fights, 1 move. She hasn't even shown you move number 2.
I'm not comfortable giving a woman pound for pound title.
I'd give that woman pound for pound title.
I'm being sexist. No, seriously though, Hendo Barral's on what, a 24, 25 fight win streak at this point?
I think he's also got like a 16 fight win streak.
No. Hendo Barral?
Yeah.
I thought he only lost his first fight.
I'm pretty sure he's on a 16 fight win streak.
I thought he only lost his first fight and hasn't lost since then. Now we have to look it up. You don't know how to spell Hanan.
Nope, I don't. But I know how to spell Barral. What's up with that?
Oh, is that so? That'd be my eyebrow.
Wow, look at that. Mm-hmm.
Oh, no contest. Doesn't count. Doesn't count. No contest.
How does it not count?
It's a no contest.
There's his only loss. It's his first fight.
Yes, but he also has a no contest.
It was no contest.
I don't see how that counts.
Because it was no contest.
It was no contest. They're lucky they didn't take it away from him.
Because it was an illegal.
It was an illegal kick. If he would have, they could take it away.
Okay, but still, then how many fights since then? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ah, damn it! Stop scrolling, dickhead.
So
16.
15. Is it 16?
16 because he's 31 and 1. 16. Is that what I said? Did I say 16? I think I said 16. Because a no contest counts!
How do you get 16 because he's 31 and 1?
Because it happened at fight 10.
Oh. I don't like the way you count.
It's all math, man.
That still doesn't make any sense.
I'm right, you're wrong.
He's right.
Your math is wrong.
Doesn't matter. It's still a no contest counts.
For those
Fine, that's still 21 fights. It's still 20 fights, not 31 and 130.
So you're going to give it to Hendo Barral or Jose Aldo? Pound for pound.
I'm arguing. We're supposed to argue.
Or is Cain Velasquez your pound for pound?
No, because his loss is too recent. And he has a lot of extra poundage on him.
So what's that number per pound?
Right?
Then I think then it definitely breaks down to Hendo Barral's favor at that point in time. No, Jose Aldo makes sense too. I'm just pleading case, but even Dennis said Ronda Rousey 1 move, 7 wins. I mean, it's a tough decision.
Dana White says originally he said Hendo Barral if he beats Faber, and then now he's saying Chris Weidman if he beats Vitor.
So Weidman's got what? He's 10-0.
Yep.
Nah, you can't. I don't think you can give it to him. I think it has to go to something like Jose Aldo or Hendo Barral or something. It has to. Are we I'm actually starting to lean towards Dennis now. Just throw it all.
Dennis is the pound for pound champion.
Yeah, Dennis is the pound for pound champion. We in his house, man. He's pound for pound champion.
So apparently everyone from Team Sonnen is scared for their life. Filming down in Brazil. According to Dana White, he said, from what I've heard, the first day of filming was absolute insanity. Basically, it was so crazy down there that the guys that are coaching on Chael's team are scared to be there. That's how insane it is inside that gym. He said the threats are very real. We downplay them, if anything, but they're real and genuine. Attempts have been made.
Have been made?
It's just the way it goes. I'm not going to live in... This is all Chael Sonnen. I am not going to live my life in fear. I don't live in fear. I don't think about it a whole lot. Again, it's a real thing. I recognize it. That's it.
Well, good for Chael Sonnen. I wonder what his head's going to look like on a spike.
On two separate occasions, a Brazilian fan has attempted to assault Chael Sonnen.
You got to have some balls to try to attempt to assault Chael Sonnen, though.
Not over there.
Yeah, no, not really.
I don't think they care.
I guess not.
So, did you watch The Ultimate Fighter episode 2
on Wednesday night? No, it was not available.
Okay,
I was not available.
Team Canada wins again.
Damn, now I have to go and watch that tonight. Thank you for reminding me.
Team Canada wins again. Again, I just don't see the talent from the Aussies that I thought they might bring.
I think they drink a lot and then fight in Australia.
Yeah.
Because it seems like a little slower pace fight.
Definitely. Canada definitely seems to have more well-rounded fighters. A lot more technical fighters, guys with way better records.
Yeah. And it's a completely different style.
Completely different style.
I don't understand how Canada can lose to, or Australia can lose to Canada when living in Australia you have to run for your life every single... The kangaroos want to kick your ass. Everything in Australia wants to kill you, and up in Canada they have a bunch of denim and maple syrup, and nothing is constantly trying to assault their life. You have to live with huntsman spiders in your house that are bigger than your head in Australia.
I just don't think they're good at fighting things their same size.
Valid
I
point.
think that's the only thing I could think of.
Valid point.
Yeah.
So we have the UFC on Fox 10 going down this Saturday, 5 p.m. on the West Coast.
This is on Fox, not Fox Sports 1?
Fox.
Cool.
The prelims, well, one of the prelims will be on the Fight Pass if you've downloaded that or signed up for it. Still, you can get that fight. And then we have the other prelims going to be on Fox Sports 1, and then the actual fight's up on Fox.
Sounds good. I'll be in a hotel, so at least I can watch the stuff on Fox. So,
Yeah, maybe Fox Sports 1. You don't know.
No, it's a Best Western.
Looks like we're not getting a sponsorship from Best Western anytime soon.
We'll keep a light on for you.
I'm just assuming that they have like 4 channels to tick, 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 tick. That's it.
So starting in the prelims, on the Fight Pass, we have Walt Harris, who is 5-2, going up against Nikita Krylov, who is 15-3.
0-1 in the UFC, huh?
Yeah.
I love his family spray paint.
My favorite thing about Nikita is he has won, 17 of his 18 fights have ended in the first round. That includes his 3 losses.
I just love his TV show.
That's an awesome way to do that statistic.
Right?
La Femme Nikita.
Love him.
Walt looked all right against Jared Ralshot. I expect him to win this fight.
All right.
Moving on.
They're both 0-1 in the UFC, so...
Both guys making their debuts in the UFC. George Sullivan going up against Mike Rhodes. There's not much known about either of these guys other than I do know Rhodes was the RFA champion at one time.
Yeah.
So I would give him the edge definitely with experience, even though he is only 6-1. He was able to go through that and work his way up quickly to the championship spot. So,
Is that Rafata? What did that stand for again?
Resurrection Fight Alliance.
That is not what it stood. Yeah, you're Rafata.
No, the Rafatum.
no. Darren Cruikshank going up against Mike Rio. Both these guys coming off the Ultimate Fighter 15. I think if Mike Rio loses this fight, he's out of the UFC.
I think Cruikshank probably is going to win this fight, too.
Yeah, because Mike Rio's stand-up sucks. His best shot is to get this to the ground and hold it there and try to ride out his decision and keep his contract.
It's going to suck if your corner's like, okay, your best chance in this fight is to wet blanket him.
Yeah.
'Cause you can't submit him. You can't knock him out.
Hit him every once in a while so you don't get stood up.
It's bad when your corner actually yelled at you for throwing punches.
What were you doing? We had a plan.
You're going to take him down and lay there.
Don't go out there and freelance.
Just lay on him, man. It's what you're good at.
Hugo Viana is going up against Ramiro Hernandez. Ramiro's a good kickboxer. He is big for this weight class. He used to fight at 155. This is 135. That's quite a bit of weight.
That's a big difference.
Hugo has pretty good hand speed. He's very good at his counters. We showed that he is not quite ready for that top caliber, though, when he fought TJ Dillashaw.
So how does Ramiro hold up when it comes to top caliber? What do you think?
I don't think he has. Even then, I don't think he has as good of his experience as the names that Hugo's been fighting. Hugo's test against TJ Dillashaw was definitely a big test for the UFC, for him, how he's going to do in the UFC. He did well in jungle fights. Overall, I think if Hugo can get off early and wear him down, wear the bigger guy down,
it's going to come down to stamina.
Otherwise, Ramiro's just going to toss him around.
Yeah,
which is of course going to look bad in front of the judges. Doesn't matter if it goes 3 rounds or not. If you're
Right.
throwing around all 3 rounds,
but that's where he's going to lose in the stamina.
Yeah.
He's just so big, a lot of blood to big muscles.
So we have Chico Kamas, who's 13-4, going against Yatsin Medza. Chico, we've seen him a couple times in the UFC. He's pretty well-rounded guy. Meza, though, coming in with a 5-inch reach advantage and a very active ground game. I expect Meza to win this fight.
with the 5-inch reach advantage, it doesn't really play too much into the ground game. But how do you think his stand-up is compared to Chico?
I think it's a little bit better.
Yeah, okay,
Definitely
well,
a little
Chico's
better.
going to be in a lot of trouble then. That's a lot to deal with. Eddie Wineland and Yves Jabouin.
Yeah, this is your power versus finesse. This is your flashy kickboxer in Jabin going up against the guy who just comes to brawl.
Yeah.
I mean, Eddie Wineland, 29-1, former WEC champion. He has a really, really good sprawl and brawl. Always puts on gratuitous displays of violence, which I like.
yeah.
His His last loss against Barao, he says, was a fluke. He says that he thought it was called too early, and he wants to come back and prove that he's able to do well in the division.
I got to say, even with Jeb Wynn having a better record in this matchup, I got to pick Eddie Wineland.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking Eddie Wineland.
I think he's going to overwhelm Eves.
I'm going TKO by the second.
I would hope to see that this kickboxer goes to work on Wineland's legs. That's that'd be your only defense.
It's the smart move, but it's going to be tough with Eddie Wineland pushing forward a lot.
Yeah, which he does. He gets in your face quick,
right? And it's hard to fire an effective kick.
Right. And that is kind of the best way to finesse your way against a kickboxer too, is to keep pushing him. Don't give him his distance. Don't give him his range.
And your last fight on your prelims on Fox Sports 1 is Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres going up against Sergio Pettis. Little Pettis.
It's Pettis all day.
Pettis all day. He has taken this fight on short notice. A lot of people want him to go back to 125. He says he likes to stay at 135. He was the RFA champion down at 125 as well. He's very flashy and creative with his kickboxing, just like his brother. Bruce Leroy will definitely keep it standing because he only has one takedown his entire career in the UFC. But he's coming in with a 4-inch reach advantage. Do you think he's able to use that reach advantage to his advantage? Like, actually make it work for him? Or Pettis, I saw an interview where he says, I don't think so. He doesn't use it the way he should, and I'll be able to get in there and fire off the kicks and punches that I need and be able to take him out.
It'll be fun to watch. I think this is going to be a really good, fun fight to watch because when Alex Caceres can actually work his kung fu, he's entertaining. But I can't put a lot of faith in him as a fighter.
I thought they had him working with somebody on the ground.
They do, but he
has a decent ground game. I mean, he's shown in his couple fights. At least
he's
fighting
shown
from
an improvement. I wouldn't even call it a decent ground game.
I'd say definitely an improvement, fighting from his back and transitioning.
Yeah, but I would say it's an improvement, but I don't think his ground game's even decent.
I mean, you can't come in working on it against Pettis.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, we're working on it.
First fight on the main card on Big Fox, we have Darren Elkins, who's 17-3, going up against Little Heathen Jeremy Stevens, who's 22-9.
I saw his mugshot recently.
Little Heathens? Yeah. This guy is a headhunter. We know that he can throw heavy punches with his hands, and now we've seen him throw him heavy kicks as well with some head kick knockouts. We know he will not be bullied if this stays standing. I think that's where he's definitely going to have the advantage. Darren is all about takedowns and ground and pound. He likes to grind things out. He survived some heavy onslaughts against his last two opponents where he was able to basically grind out the decision and win. Being a big wrestler, though, he only has a 39% takedown advantage, which I think will become a disadvantage going against Little Heathen.
Yeah, if he can't get Little Heathen down, then he's going to be in all sorts of trouble. At 39%, it's not going to be super likely, considering Heathen can and wants to keep it standing.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to go with Jeremy on this one?
I'm going to take Little Heathen Stevens, yeah. I'm going to take Jeremy Stevens. I do think that if Darren Elkins, I've seen him in the past ride out decisions by, like I said, surviving the early onslaught and being able to grind out his opponents. I'm just going to go with Stevens on this, with TKO.
Yeah. Right. Really? This would be a good one to see Stevens get him with the liver kick.
Yo.
We just seen one last weekend. I'd love to see another one. You know when the whole body shuts down?
We have Donald Cowboy Cerrone, 21-6, going up against Adriano Martins.
Some experience there, huh?
Definitely some experience, yeah, but between both these guys. 25-6, 21-6. Adriano has decent power. He's a southpaw. He's a big, strong guy, but he does not... He first of all hasn't fought the same names that Cowboy Cerrone has. He hasn't gone up against top caliber competition. I don't think he has the same versatility that Cowboy has. Cowboy is really good, improved wrestling, decent Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We know he's an amazing Thai boxer.
For being a guy who's a Thai boxer, he's got the majority of his wins by sub anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like he's got this. People just focus on him as a kickboxer, and then they get choked out.
Yeah. The only thing for him, and he said it's always been, it's motivation and the right mindset. He's had some trouble in the past staying motivated and staying in the right mindset to keep things going. You know, I watched the Road to the Octagon. They were talking to him, and he said, look, he's like, they got pissed off. I was bull riding, I was wakeboarding, I was doing, drinking and all this stuff. He's like, so I cut it all out, focused everything on training, lost my next fight.
Right.
He's like, I brought all that back, won my last fight. I'm going to do what I do.
Right. And there's people that's what they need to do.
Yeah, that's his
Why
right
quit?
mindset.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yep.
So who you taking that one? You taking
I've got
Cerrone?
to take Cerrone in that one.
Can we call him Donald I Need Money Cerrone?
Yeah.
All right.
Not Clown Boy.
Not Clown Boy. Hey, some of them things on the internet are hilarious.
Stipe Miocic going up against Gabriel Gonzaga.
I'm sorry, I was going to say something that completely lost my mindset. But Donald Cerrone, when he did lose the last fight that he lost, was he against the southpaw?
Yes, he does not do as well against southpaws as he does other guys. That's the
biggest advantage for Adriano.
Adriano will have that,
and that's where I'm still taking Cerrone, but that's where I'm having trouble pulling.
You still think that makes a big difference in MMA?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cerrone, when he lost to the southpaw, he literally didn't look like Cerrone. He looked like he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah. He's like, he's throwing punches from this angle I've never seen before.
What are we in Australia? South of the equator? This is bullshit.
So if you got somebody who can punch with the right and kick with the left, I mean, Cerrone's done.
Maybe.
So there we go. Stipe Miocic against Gabriel Gonzaga. Steve Miocic showed what he's got.
Yeah.
Using speed, good boxing, good conditioning, beating Roy Nelson to a decision, launching his career a little bit further up the ladder. He's now going up against former contender in Man Bear Pig, who's been looking to come back and prove that he can still has what it takes to be in the heavyweight division. We know he's got
last fight.
And look pumped in his last fight.
Last two, he's knocked guys out in the first round.
TRT.
You know, he has heavy hands, really good Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Lately, he's been showing really good timing with his counter punches. I always like Man Bear Pig. I'd like to see him win this fight. I just think Miocic can definitely push the pace of this fight, use his conditioning, and be able to win the decision in this.
I always root against Gabriel Gonzaga.
I know, you don't like him for some reason.
I don't know. I really don't know why.
Was it because he knocked out Crow Cop?
Yeah. It'll be a fast-paced fight.
I was happy when he knocked out Crow Cop, but for some reason I always find myself rooting against Gabriel Gonzaga. And the way he's looked coming back, though, I kind of find this as a coin flip. I mean, Stipe has shown his power, and he's shown his ability to win. But we see a new Gabriel Gonzaga, who was a former contender. I mean, it's a really difficult fight for me. I have to go with Stipe Miocic, but it's razor thin for me.
All right. And then, of course, your main event is Benson Henderson, 19-3, going up against Josh Thompson, 20-5. Both these guys are lightweight championship material. Both of them held titles. Josh Thompson was set to face Anthony Pettis for a title shot back at UFC 9 on Fox 9. Pettis obviously was injured. He was pulled out of the fight, so they moved Josh Thompson over now to basically put his number one contendership spot on the line against Benson Henderson, who just lost to Anthony Pettis.
It's rough.
This is tough. So this is for the number one contendership spot, even though Thompson said he didn't mind not waiting around for Pettis to come back. He's okay with putting it on the line. He thinks Benson Henderson will wrestle him to death.
It's entirely possible.
I don't know. Bendo is definitely a good wrestler. He's pretty flexible. I think he's going to control this fight in the clinch and in the tie-ups, definitely with his wrestling. But we saw how well, or not how well, he did against Pettis, who kicked him quite a bit.
Right.
And, Josh Thompson is a really good kickboxer. And if he can do the same thing that Anthony Pettis did and soften up Benson Henderson with kicks, I think that's what he can do. I think he can take him down and choke him out with his jiu-jitsu. Both these guys are Brazilian black belts.
My problem with the Punk is that I don't find him as tenacious as Anthony Pettis.
No, definitely not. I think he used to be. Early days, he used to be. He definitely needs. He looked pretty tenacious against Nate Diaz though when he knocked him out with that head kick.
Yeah.
So I got to give him that. Maybe we'll see that Josh Thompson.
I think even if we see that Josh Thompson, I think Bendo is still a little quicker to make the transitions, a little quicker on his feet, and he might just be one step ahead of the Punk the whole time. And
we saw what happens when Benson Henderson loses to Anthony Pettis. The next time he come back and he didn't lose up until he lost to him again.
Didn't happen until the next time,
right?
I only lose when I lose.
I would like to see Josh Thompson win this fight.
It'd be cool to see the Punk win this fight, but I think if I had to put money on it, I'd be Bendo.
All right.
Yeah. That's it. So that's this Saturday 5 p.m. UFC on Fox. Make sure you catch the prelims. They're on Fox Sports 1, right?
They are on Fox Sports 1.
And all that jazz. So that's about it. Big thanks to Fight Fans Radio Network again for supporting us, putting us out there on their Spreaker, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and iTunes. We have our own Spreaker, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Look up Split Decision MMA. Please like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, SD_MMA. And our official website is SplitDecisionMMA.com. From the Ruloff Family Inc. Studios, Bueller and Dodge signing off. Until next time, have a good night. We'll see you in the fights.